First, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences while I have been working with ECB. So as you know that ECB was implemented in Bangladesh from 2002 to 2013. I will focus my discussion on three issues as mentioned by the chair already. First, some of the challenges Bangladesh Consortium has faced and how we have addressed those challenges, some of the key lessons learned, and last but not least, some examples of sustainability and impact of ECB work in Bangladesh. The first challenge we have faced at the beginning of this project was that, unlike other projects, it didn't have a clear action plan or very well-defined activities. Though it was perceived as a challenge, but later on, this flexibility for planning really helped us to create shared vision and plans within the participation of interagency representatives, including government. So it was a challenge to bring everyone together to gain and retain their interest, trust, and support for the project. As a strategy, what we did, we have identified some quick wins to demonstrate success and build trust within the stakeholders that, yes, we can do something meaningful together. For example, we started simply with translating the Good Enough Guide, which Jock has mentioned about. So we have translated this Good Enough Guide of accountability into Bangla, and in the process, we have engaged the civil society, the government, the academia, and now Good Enough Guide is one of the popularly used guide in Bangladesh. Then from simple translation, later on this platform evolved to undertake several successful, I would say, complex initiatives such as joint advocacy, joint needs assessment, joint capacity building, etc. Another challenge was experienced to connect and collaborate with other stakeholders, such as government and UN agencies. So the strategy we followed is, first, we identified the champions, peers, or supporters within those agencies. And we tried to build relationship with them and make them our allies, and thus we have brought their agencies in our loop informally. Once the relationship has established, then we made it formal through maybe MUs or through establishing ways of working. But you know, this really helped that we started informally, then made it gave it a formal shape, so that even if that particular person leaves the organization, the collaboration doesn't end. There are many challenges, but you know, I am also aware of the time, so I would now move into the lessons. Some of the lessons is just I mentioned that flexibility in planning and operational approach is very much helpful to run complex interagency work. It really helped us to create the buy-in and ownership of the stakeholders, so that we are not kind of bringing anything or we are not imposing anything, rather we are creating it together. We have also learned that we need to engage the relevant stakeholders, including government, since the beginning, so that they are not the recipient, rather they are part of the process, and thus they own the outputs and outcomes of the project or of the work. Another important lesson learned is that being open and allowing other agencies or stakeholders to join the journey or platform really helped to increase the impact of our work. For example, when we started, we had only 7 agencies as formal ECB members, but we never kept it closed within these 7 agencies. You would be happy to know that throughout these 5 years of the project, we have actively engaged with more than 50 agencies, government, NGOs, academia, in different kind of works like capacity building, advocacy, etc. The final lesson I want to highlight here is that that though it's a kind of capacity building consortium, but how Bangladesh Consortium, capacity building consortium, has also contributed in kind of joint advocacy. That's the power of bringing people together. So at some point we realized that we are bringing people together, we are talking about capacity building, but this could be a very powerful platform for advocacy. And in Bangladesh, we have two successful advocacy campaigns, one for Cyclone Aila, where government was reluctant to kind of declare it a disaster, but later on it got due attention from donors and government. And another is that we influenced the passing of the Disaster Management Act in Bangladesh. Now I have come to the last part of my speech, which is, what's continuing now? And you would be surprised to know that, I was also surprised to know that just last week government hold a workshop where we were also invited. They hold the workshop. The topic was institutionalization of joint needs assessment within the government agencies in Bangladesh. So I think this is the perfect example of the continuation of sustainability or impact of ECB work. You know that ECB, with technical support from ACAPS, has initiated this approach in Bangladesh in 2010. But now it's kind of led by or owned by the apex level multi-stakeholder coordination body in Bangladesh, which is called LCGDER. So I would conclude this way that, ECB, in Bangladesh, we used to say that ECB is not a project. ECB is a ways of working together. So I think that, we, to some extent, we have contributed to change that culture of working in silos, and we have been able to demonstrate how competitors can also be collaborators for common challenges and common issues the humanitarian sector have been facing. So I would stop here. It's very difficult to sum up 5 years in 5 minutes, but thanks once again for giving me the opportunity to share my lessons and experiences from the ECB days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a very clear summary. And I'm sorry we've had to limit the time, but I hope you'll be able to stay on the line because we will be having discussion in a few minutes, and David's going to run through this exercise now. So thank you again, and please do stay online if you can. David?